Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's event, where we are joined by a large part of the New Jersey delegation who will be introduced in just a moment. It's important to note during this call, we'll be taking questions from constituents like you all across New Jersey. To ask a question, please press star 3. And during this call, you can also sign up to receive your representative's newsletter by pressing star 6. Again, please press star 3 to ask a question and star 6 to get subscribed to your representative's e-newsletter. With that, I'll turn it over to Congresswoman McIver to kick us off. Congresswoman, the floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dirk. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am Congresswoman LaMonica McIver, representing New Jersey's 10th Congressional District, and welcome to our New Jersey SNAP Town Hall. We're so grateful to everyone who is joining us this evening. I know times are tough. People want answers, and we appreciate you taking the time out of your busy lives to engage with your congressional representatives. I am so pleased and delighted to introduce my colleagues who are on the call tonight. We have Representative Frank Pallone representing the 6th District. We have Rep. Donald Norcross representing the 1st District. We have Rep. Bonnie Watson Coleman representing the 12th District. We have Rep. Rob Menendez representing the 8th District. We have Rep. Nellie Poe representing the 9th District. And we have Rep. Herb Conaway representing the 3rd District. Let's level set. SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, helps 42 million people across our country. Donald Trump is refusing to fund SNAP, even though money is available and he is legally obligated to do so. The court said this administration has to fund SNAP. Trump said he'll only fund half benefits. Then, just yesterday, he went on a rant on social media, as always, saying he wants to defy the courts, as he has done so many times before, and not fund this critical program at all this month. This is not a game. People rely on these benefits to live. In the countries that make in the counties, that make up New Jersey's 10th, more than 294,000 people receive SNAP benefits. For all of the congressional members on this call, SNAP matters in our communities and our districts. I wish we were speaking under better circumstances with a president and a congressional majority who cared about what a shutdown means for people in our state and across the nation. I wish we had an administration that did not have to be forced by the courts to do the bare minimum and try to get people fed. But even though we don't have those things, we have each other. I am gathered with my colleagues here today because you deserve answers and you deserve help. We are here for you. SNAP is critical for so many of the families in our communities and to so many of you on this call. And we want to make sure that you have all the information, answers, and resources that you need as we continue to navigate the real uncertainty. That is exactly what this town hall is about. Today, you will hear a little bit more about where we are and how we got here from the people who represent you. You will also be able to ask all of us questions. New Jersey, we will never stop fighting for you. I am pleased to hand it over to the dean of our amazing delegation, a fighter and my friend, Rep. Frank Pallone.
I appreciate the fact that you gathered us all to have this town hall meeting virtually of this evening. And I know it's a very important discussion for so
Rep.
many
Pallone?
of our constituents. Yes. Can you not hear me? Can you guys hear me?
I do hear you on the call, sir. I'm not certain why Congresswoman McIver does not, but we'll check into that. But you can go back to your opening remarks, sir.
All right. I just wanted to thank the Congresswoman for bringing us all together for this town meeting, and thank everyone for joining us. I represent the 6th District, which includes parts of both Middlesex and Monmouth County. And I just want you to know I'm hearing every day from a lot of
I'm sorry, Frank, you were just having a little,
Do you want, should I continue or you can't hear me?
Congressman, I'm checking into that right now, and as a quick reminder for everybody that is on the line with us as we confirm that Congresswoman McIver can hear us, don't forget, if you've got a question about SNAP or the shutdown, please press star 3 on your telephone keypad to enter the question queue. Again, star 3 to ask a question. And you can also sign up for your Congress members' e-newsletter by pressing star 6 on your telephone keypad while this live town hall is happening. And I do apologize for everybody that we've got a little hiccup here with the audio. Congresswoman McIver, can you hear us? Hearing nothing there. I do believe that, again, Congressman, if you would like to continue forward, I certainly want to make sure that we hit our time here and move off in the proper form. So go ahead, Congressman Pallone.
Well, I just wanted to explain that, for so many people, SNAP is really a nutritional lifeline. Question of whether they're going to be able to put food on their tables or, feed their children. I mean, so many children, so many seniors are supported by the SNAP program. And I don't want people to think that, they have to worry about where the next meal is going to come from. So that's why we're doing this, because the President Trump, is making millions of Americans, do exactly that. They just don't know where the next meal is going to come from because they're so dependent on SNAP. We estimate there's about 42 million Americans that basically depend on SNAP, and we're not talking about a lot of money. I mean, it's about $6 a day, and if the notion is out there on the part of President Trump that somehow food banks or other sources are going to make up for this, let me assure you, they will not. They are already overburdened. And without SNAP, it's going to be impossible for food banks or other sources, churches, synagogues, whatever, to make up for this. And as Congresswoman McIver said, the problem right now is not that the money isn't available. We know there's a contingency fund, estimates of how many billions of dollars I don't want to go into. But the problem is that President Trump did not want to use this contingency fund. And so actually, many states went to court and said, you have to use the contingency fund because that's what was required by law. And so far he's refused to do it. Now he's saying, oh, well, maybe we'll do it partially, but suggesting it take weeks before any of this is available. And the program is essentially shut down on November 1st. So people are already not getting their SNAP benefits. And we can't wait weeks for this money to be available. We're basically saying, Mr. President, do this now. You are illegally withholding this money from the contingency fund. You're not allowed to do that. People are hungry, and we want you to start paying this out immediately. So with that, I'd like to hear questions, but let me turn over to my colleague, Donald Norcross from Camden for some remarks. Thank you, Donald.
Thank you, Frank. And hi, I'm Don Norcross, and I represent the 1st District of New Jersey, which is Camden, Gloucester, and parts of Burlington County in the South. It's great to be here with my colleagues. I think this is the first time we've done it, so thank you for taking the time. But as I've started for the last 36 days, day 36, America held hostage by this Trump Republican shutdown. It's unbelievable that this is going on. And they're using healthcare as a weapon, and they're now using SNAP benefits as a weapon. I want to thank Congresswoman McIver for putting this town hall together, because the administration is absolutely attacking the healthcare cost and certainly the food, or what we call SNAP benefits. This is making life harder for the working families that we know. And quite frankly, we're fighting to bring this shutdown to an end. So A, you can afford your health care, that's great quality, but also that you can have food to feed your children, your family. You're going to hear a lot more as we each get a few minutes together. But I just wanted to say to those who, as of November 1st, are getting their invoices for health care for the Affordable Care Act almost up 175%. For a family, a small family couple making That's about going from $8,000 a year for a premium up to $24,000 a year. And that's why we collectively are fighting Trump every step of the way. So I'm looking forward to your questions. And certainly the one thing we want to do is get Republicans, get Trump back to the negotiations so we can have conversations that make sure that the food is there for those who need it and affordable health care are there for those who need it. And with that, I will yield back to Ms. McIver.
Thank you so much, Rep. Norcross. At this time, we're going to go to Rep. Bonnie Watson Coleman.
Thank you, Monica, and thank you for assembling us together. This is a very important discussion at a very important time. I want to contextualize this a little bit. For the last couple of weeks, I have been visiting the food banks and some of the food pantries, as well as TASK, which is a soup kitchen. Let me put this in perspective as it relates to New Jersey. In the Community Food Bank of New Jersey, they provide more than 800 community partners with meals. And they last year provided 35 million pounds of food, more than 2.1 million meals to children. And the food bank in Mercer County, Mercer Friends, well, they provide 520,000 meals per month through 100 food pantries, senior centers, shelters, and soup kitchens across Mercer County. The soup kitchen that I visited serves over 52,000 meals just last year. For every one meal that the food banks can provide, SNAP can provide for 10. So we are talking about a serious issue of deprivation of resources that are important to keep children, elderly, disabled, and just working families in states of confusion and fear as we go through this. I also met with some food pantries, and I asked them how their flow was going. And you know what they told me? In addition to having an increase in the desire and the need for food, they've got families that have to pick up for other families who are immigrants because those families are just afraid to leave their homes because of the way ICE has been so undemocratically and disrespectfully treating our communities. In New Jersey, there are over 800,000 SNAP recipients, and over 340,000 of them are children, another 176,000 are seniors, and 240,000 are children. So we see how significant SNAP is to our communities that we care about. You put what you're doing with eliminating access to whole foods and groceries to people at the same time you're diminishing their access to health care. That is an evil outcome for anybody. And we are collectively going to stand up as a delegation against this evilness coming from both the Republican controlled House and the dereliction of duties of the Speaker of the House for not calling us in to vote, and the President of the United States. So just want to contextualize a little bit. 12th Congressional District, Mercer, Union, Middlesex, Somerset, my blessing to serve. Now I'm going to hand it over to my buddy, Congressman Menendez.
Well, thank you so much, Congressman Watson Coleman. It's always a privilege to speak with my colleagues. To my good friend, Congressman McIver, thank you so much for organizing us. I'm Rob Menendez. I represent New Jersey's 8th Congressional District, most of Hudson County, parts of Newark, and all of Elizabeth and Union County. It's a privilege to be with all of you, and appreciate you all making the time. I echo the comments that my colleagues have made about the importance of SNAP and the role it plays in so many of our communities for so many of our families. And it's deeply frustrating and disappointing to see what the administration, what Republicans are doing with this vital program. I want to just sort of take a moment to talk about how we got here. So, as you all know, we're currently in a government shutdown. Democrats have been fighting for health care to make it more affordable. Republicans have been unwilling to engage. As part of the shutdown, the administration has taken a series of actions. One of the things that they've done is this decision not to fund SNAP. Now, as many of you know, the government shut down previously. In every instance, every administration has funded SNAP. So this is an unprecedented moment. It's an illegal decision that the administration has made because Congress has appropriated funds for SNAP and, as Congressman Pallone mentioned, contingency funds for SNAP in the event of something like a shutdown. So the dollars are there to go out to all of you, to our families, not just in New Jersey, but across the country. Because of this unprecedented illegal decision, several attorneys general from across the country, including New Jersey's AG, filed 2 suits against the Trump administration. The court, as it has done time and time again over the last 9 months, had a favorable ruling to these AGs. And in response, the Trump administration, instead of doing the right thing in that instance, said that they would partially fund our SNAP obligations. Now, the challenge with that is that so many of our states are not set up to administer SNAP the way that the administration wants to. So what is this going to do? It's going to create further delays. So this also is now being challenged in court, and we hope for a ruling soon. But all of this is by design by the administration to create this challenge for so many Americans, this unnecessary challenge, this unprecedented challenge, and they're doing it to try to create political leverage because Democrats want to create more affordable health care for Americans. So we're not going to stand idly by while they do that. We're going to work with these attorneys generals across the country to continue pushing back on this administration, especially on SNAP. We know that every day is critically important. That's why the administration's response to the court orders is so deeply disappointing, because in the first instance, they should have done the right thing and funded SNAP, fully funded SNAP. In the instance where they were responding to a court order, they should have at that point done the right thing, but they continue to refuse to do so. The president continues to make this an even more complicated, confusing situation by saying on his social media platforms that they're not going to fund SNAP, they're not going to abide by the court order, and the White House spokesperson has to go out and correct that. So there's an immense amount of confusion. It's why we wanted to have this town hall with all of you so we can provide greater clarity and information. Obviously, this is evolving and changing in real time, but we want to make sure you all have the information that you need to share with your friends, with your family, with your neighbors. Please know that all of our offices are available to you, anyone that lives in any of our districts, and appreciate you making the time and look forward to getting questions. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to my great colleague, Congresswoman Nellie Poe.
Congresswoman Poe, is your microphone muted? Not hearing anything. Let's hold the Congresswoman Poe's comments for a moment. And Congressman Conaway, some remarks from you, sir.
Hi, everybody. Let me start out at the outset and thank my colleague, Ms. McIver, for bringing us together. I did want to also give some information at the outset. I'll repeat it at the end of my remarks. But for those who are having some difficulty with SNAP, you can call 1-800-997-3333. Again, that's 800-997-3333. Or over the internet, NewJerseyFamiliesFirst.com. I want to associate myself with all the comments that have been made. We are here because we have an administration who really doesn't care about the struggles of everyday people. You can see that by the policy preferences they've made and what I'm calling the big cruel bill that's transferred wealth from the working families, from the middle class and the poor, to the wealthiest people in the world. And they've done so by increasing our debt by nearly $4 trillion that you, and myself, and my children, and perhaps grandchildren will have to pay off unless we change the trajectory by getting control of the Congress and rebalancing our tax structure to make sure that working people, that families, that the middle class rises, because I believe very strongly that we all do better when we all do better. Now, the reason, now, and I also want to comment that in the usual course of business, when there is an impending shutdown, and I think Congressman Menendez alluded to this, ordinarily, the Congress meets and will take care that SNAP benefits, benefits for women, infants, and children, that the military is paid, that we make sure that the air traffic controllers and other critical personnel are able to be paid while they're on the job protecting our country. That was not done in this case. And you should know that one of the reasons it's not done is because the Congress is afraid to reconvene because they know that the new congresswoman who's been elected from Arizona, who's the longest congressional representative as far as anyone can remember, uh, the longest delay of actually swearing someone in, um, has caused the Congress not to come back. They know that when she gets sworn in, she's going to sign a petition which will cause the Congress to vote on releasing the Epstein files. And the Republicans do not want those, many of them, do not want those files to be released. And the president and the administration don't want those files to be released. So, on top of everything else, on top of all the cruelty that they're bringing to the American people, it's being driven in part by the desire of many to protect people who raped and otherwise abused girls and want to protect these people who have done that, which makes this whole tragic situation that much worse. As you've heard, half of the people on benefits in New Jersey go to children. 1 in 3 go to people, 33% go to people who have disabilities. About 20% go to people over the age of 60. And as a physician, I can tell you, these nutritional benefits are critical to maintaining health. It's obviously critical to helping children grow. It's going to bring a great deal of suffering to people who are going to go hungry because of a decision that's been made. You know, this didn't have to happen. A decision has been made, and I think as Representative Norcross pointed out, to use healthcare as a weapon so that they can protect benefits for the wealthiest people who will get over $60,000 a year in a tax cut, while regular folks get $90 perhaps. And remember, when you cut health insurance, the largest cut to health insurance in our nation's history, $1 trillion out of Medicaid, $536 billion out of Medicare, hundreds of billions of dollars out of the premium tax credits. As Representative Norcross pointed out, and we know premiums are going to go up by nearly 175%, and that's going to force probably 72% of the people who use the premium tax credits for their health care to forego health care, which is going to drive people into the emergency rooms and perhaps encumber the ability of hospitals to actually function. So I look forward to your questions. This didn't have to happen, but it's happening because we have people on the other side of the aisle who I'm afraid just don't care about what happens to average folks. But we Democrats are going to hold out. We are going to end these cuts or stop these cuts to health care, lower the costs, and protect American health care. And we're going to work to make sure that people don't go hungry and the wealthiest people and the wealthiest country in the world.
Thank you very much, Congressman. And a real quick reminder, if you have a question on your mind that you'd like to have asked on today's call, please press *3 on your telephone keypad. And now, let's go back to Congresswoman Nellie Poe. Congresswoman, are you with us?
I am. Thank you so very much. Sorry about that. But let me first say good evening to everyone. I also want to thank my colleague, Congresswoman MacIver, for getting us all together and making this happen. But certainly you've already heard from many of my colleagues on the importance of why we are here today, joining each and every one of you so that we can speak to you about what is so very, what's on the mind of every single person today. But good evening to all of our residents, but especially to my New Jersey 9th Congressional constituents, which I represent, and that covers Passaic County, Bergen County, and parts of Hudson County. And once again, I think, it's really, I wish we were gathering for a much more happier occasion. If we look at this tomorrow, America will make history, a very bad kind of history, in fact, as this government shutdown becomes, as it's already been said, the longest federal government shutdown in U.S. history. 36 days. It is absolutely sad and tragic, indeed. As we know, the Republicans control the House, they control the Senate, and they control the White House. They have put us in this position by advancing a very cruel budget, as Bonnie said, that would skyrocket the cost of millions and millions of Americans in terms of their costs. Unbelievable. The Republican take it or leave it budget would raise the cost of health insurance for 500,000 of our state's residents by an average of nearly $3,000 a year. And as it's already been pointed out, that's a whopping 175% hike. Additionally, over 800,000 residents of our state rely on the SNAP program. You hear a lot of numbers, but that's an important one. The program literally feeds families and children. And because of the shutdown, nearly 1 in 10 remain under the threat of losing lifetime benefits. That's unheard of. We can fix this today. We can certainly fix this today by tapping the Special Contingency Fund to feed Americans. But the administration, we've already said it, the administration and especially Trump has been refusing, and they've actually been lying about it. To put a fine point on this, over the weekend, a federal judge ordered the administration to tap into these emergency funds by today. Yes, today. But yesterday, Donald Trump announced that he would ignore the court order and refuse to distribute the federal food benefits. This is an outrage. Time is wasting for tons of millions of Americans. These funds must be released because New Jersey residents are being squeezed every single way that you can imagine. Grocery costs has gone up, electricity bills are up, gas prices are up, and other daily lives necessities have skyrocketed. We cannot afford any higher burden. We just can't. Like my colleagues, I came to Washington to lower the high costs of living for our residents. That's one of my top priority. I talk about it all the time. What Republicans are offering will raise costs for millions through higher premiums, and that is what this shutdown is all about. We want to make sure to protect and ensure that your costs of your insurance, healthcare, and your premiums are lowered and are not raised to the level that they are expecting. That is unaffordable. Our entire delegation has been showing up for work in Washington. We are committed. We are truly committed to resolving this shutdown. We will negotiate in good faith. All of us want to end this shutdown, but not at the expense of jacking up your costs more. We cannot let that happen. We just absolutely cannot. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Congresswoman, and thank you to everybody that's joined us for this very large live telephone town hall. Part of the technology we're using allows us to do polling, and I'd like to take a moment to ask everybody on the call with us to use your telephone keypad and respond to this poll question. Are you impacted by Trump and Republicans' attacks on SNAP? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no. So again, everybody that's with us on the line here, please use your telephone keypad to respond to this question. Are you impacted by Trump and Republicans' attacks on SNAP? Please press 1 for yes, press 2 for no. See, folks are keying in their response. Thank you very much for participating in that. And don't forget, if you've got a question on your mind, now is the time to press star 3 to enter the question queue. And take a minute also during this live event to press star 6 and get yourself subscribed to receive updates from your Congress member with their newsletter. Again, star 3 with a question, star 6 to get subscribed to your representative's informative newsletter. Now, let's get into the Q&A. We'll start here with a question for Congressman Norcross. Lucy from Camden is wondering, are New Jersey state officials doing anything to help us receive food benefits?
Great question. Obviously, we've been talking about what the federal government does for funding and, more importantly, what Trump has put the halt on. But just to give you an idea, in New Jersey, about 800,000 people are on SNAP benefits. Somewhere close to 25% are seniors, the children, those veterans. In my district alone, we have about 100,000. Each district's a little different. But the state has really stepped up to the plate given the short notice that SNAP benefits are being held up by the federal government. Governor Murphy late last week signed a couple of executive orders that would accelerate about $43 million for food and to grant programs for food banks. So down in our district, it's the Food Bank of South Jersey. But as Bonnie had mentioned earlier, these food banks are already being tapped and run low on their food because of the massive amount of people who are on the SNAP benefits, just trying to get food. But that means the state can make up a little bit of that. There's a minimum of $95 per family. That's about 32,000 households in New Jersey. By the way, if the children are already receiving what we call New Jersey SNAP, they automatically are eligible to get free lunch programs. So if they're not doing that, make sure that you reach out to them to let them know. And the last thing that the executive order has been done by Murphy is put together a task force on how they can better help those who are getting cut by the federal SNAP benefits, make sure they have access. So those two executive orders are going to help lessen the pain just a little bit. We certainly need the federal government to step up and make sure that money comes through. Thank you.
All right, moving on with another question. This one for Representative Pallone. Ethan from Old Bridge is asking, can you tell me if I have this right? Democrats are fighting to stop Republicans from stealing our health care, and the Republicans are stealing our food instead because they're mad at the Democrats?
Well, I think, Ethan, you've got it right. The problem really started this summer when the Republicans passed this, I call it the big ugly bill. They said it was the big beautiful bill. Because what that did is it really harmed both America's health care as well as the nutritional programs like SNAP. In that bill, it made it much more difficult for people to qualify for Medicaid, and the bill did not renew the tax credits or subsidies, if you will, that help people pay for the Affordable Care Act, to pay for their health insurance or Obamacare. And so we as Democrats we're saying, look, you want to pass a spending bill before October 1st, which is, the beginning of the fiscal year, and you're not going to address this healthcare crisis that you created, and you're not going to address this nutritional crisis that you created. And their answer was no, we're not going to include anything in the annual spending bill to bring back the Medicaid benefits, to bring back the subsidies or tax credits to help you pay for your health insurance under Obamacare. And in fact, once November 1st comes around, we're not even going to pay out any more SNAP benefits at all. And so what we're saying is, look, if you care about the health care of Americans, or New Jerseyans in our case, if you care about their being able to put food on the table, then you should come back into session. They haven't been in session. There's no opportunity to vote or negotiate any of this since October 1st. They haven't been in session. And figure this out. But in the meantime, with regard to the SNAP benefits, there is this contingency fund that has enough money to pay SNAP benefits, I think, for at least another month. So you're right. I mean, they're holding the government hostage by saying we're not going to pay out the SNAP money, even though the money is available. So it's just it's really cruelty is what it comes down to, not wanting to address the healthcare crisis and not wanting to pay SNAP benefits, even though the money's there. It's just outrageous.
So if you're on the line with us right now and you have a question, please press *3 on your telephone keypad to enter the question queue. And our next question is for Congresswoman Poe. James from Patterson asks, what are Democrats doing to preserve SNAP benefits? And what can you do as members of Congress to end this shutdown?
Well, first of all, thank you, James, for that question. I really appreciate it. I think it's an important question. The first thing that we want the Republicans to do is to simply follow the law. We absolutely just need them to do that, and that is just to follow common sense. Quite honestly, a federal judge, if you think about it, there are, as it was just pointed out, there's emergency funds that can be used to help keep people fed. A federal judge ordered them to do just that. This administration has absolutely refused to do that. We want to make sure that that is indeed what is going to be followed. That is absolutely first and foremost and very important to us. Second, the Democrats are doing everything that they can to best highlight the importance of what is at stake right now. And if Republicans have their way, we are going to see the cost of the health premiums, the health costs, as we just talked about, that are continuing to skyrocket. So we are already seeing that. We know that that's an enormous price hike of many of the plans, and we are working together as a contingency, as all of our colleagues together. We're working together to block any funding deal that would absolutely jack up the health costs for each of our residents throughout the state of New Jersey. Americans are paying enough. Americans are absolutely fed up. We hear them, we see them, we know that, and we're here and ready to make sure to work on their behalf and protect their health care.
And our next question is for Congressman Menendez. Geneva in Mercer County wonders, when will we get our SNAP benefits this month? I usually get mine on the 3rd.
Yeah, so that's a great question. Appreciate you asking it, because it's something that we want to provide clarity for folks. Usually it takes about a week for the USDA and federal government to upload benefits onto a card. Because the Trump administration made a decision not to fund SNAP, it further delays that 1 week it's gonna take to load benefits to individuals' cards. The second problem, which adds uncertainty to the situation, is, as mentioned earlier, because the administration is only doing a partial funding of SNAP benefits, the states now need more time to adjust their systems for the way that the administration wants to allocate out benefits. So we're looking at a week to 2 week delays. It also depends on what the state is able to do once the administration sends the SNAP dollars out the door. But every day the administration is dragging their feet and delaying the support getting out to individuals across New Jersey. And I just want to really stress this point. It doesn't have to be this way. The administration has the resources and the ability to fully fund SNAP. So if they had fully funded SNAP, then there would be no delay. If they fully funded SNAP when the court made its decision and decided, instead of deciding to do a partial funding of SNAP benefits, then it would be a much quicker process. So we're continuing to monitor this, continuing to push the administration to do that which they have the power to do. In the interim, I want to give you and everyone a couple of resources that are going to be helpful to check on the status. One is visiting njfamiliesfirst.com. Again, that's njfamiliesfirst.com or njsnap.gov. You can also call 1-800-997-3333. So let me give that to you one more time. You can call 1-800-997-3333. Visit njfamiliesfirst.com or visit njsnap.gov. And you can, of course, reach out to any of our offices. We're working with our state partners to make sure that we get information out to you as quickly as possible. But those are some of the resources that you can use. This delay, again, is completely unnecessary. We understand the predicament and challenge that this presents to so many New Jerseyans, the over 800,000 that benefit from SNAP, to have food nutritional security. So we are pushing forward. We are pushing the administration, and we'll continue to keep you all updated. But please reach out to our offices if you have any further questions.
So our next question is for Congresswoman McIver. Laura in Cherry Hill says she has a son that is a SNAP recipient and wonders when the shutdown will end and what is the possibility President Trump will be forced to use contingency fund money.
Thank you so much, Laura, for that. And as a mom, I feel for you, and I know the pain that families of Jersey are facing with Trump up SNAP this month. It's cruel and it's disgusting. Trump wants to make this about, make this about the shutdown, but it's truly not. He's using the shutdown as and reality is about his longstanding hatred of the SNAP program. If Trump had his way, 3 million people health insurance premiums would double, 3 million people would be kicked off of SNAP entirely, and benefits will go down for everyone. And that's just the proposal willing to talk about in public. Don't be fooled. Trump has the money, the authority, and the legal requirements to fund SNAP, as many of my colleagues have already talked about tonight. The courts have now said he must do so, but what he's trying to do is the same as he has been. He did it here in Jersey by using the shutdown as an excuse to cancel the Gateway Project, and he did it by firing federal workers that he doesn't like. He wants to hit people while they're down and make things worse for the most vulnerable. So to answer your question, look, we're hopeful that the courts will do the right thing. Trump will, again, be held accountable for his illegal actions. And we hope that this will be over soon. In this case, justice means delivering the vital food aid SNAP participants count on. We don't know when that might happen, but we do know, like Rob said, that even when Trump taps that emergency funding for SNAP, it's going to take days or even weeks for us to see benefits in our communities.
So if you've got a question on your mind, now is the time. Press *3 to enter our question queue. And also take a moment while we're live to press *6 on your telephone keypad and get subscribed to your representative's informative e-newsletter. And it looks like we've got a question here for Congressman Conaway. Deborah in Woodbridge is asking, how can Trump get away with not adhering to what the judges are making him do?
Well, you raise a very good question, and thank you for that. It's something that scholars and people in and out of government who understand what an oath is and what responsibility is to try to understand how this president is behaving the way he does. We realize, in some ways, the fragility of the Constitution because it didn't contemplate someone who is prepared, as the president is, to ignore Supreme Court rulings. He's done this time and time again. We've seen his principal deputies say that, well, you can ignore court orders, particularly in the immigration situation. That's just one of many examples. And so the Constitution relies on people, irrespective of party, to uphold their constitutional responsibilities to put a check on the executive. The court doesn't have an army, doesn't have marshals. It can't go in and arrest people who are and throw them in jail and hold them in contempt, as the way state courts can do. The Supreme Court doesn't have that authority, and so it relies on members of Congress upholding their constitutional responsibility to bring to certainly to raise their voices and hope that the president can be persuaded to follow the law. And in the event he refuses or she refuses to do that, then the Congress needs to take action and use its impeachment power in order to bring a rogue president to heel. Now, of course, that takes time. And when you're talking about food assistance or insurance, a lot of people are going to suffer because of the delay that's engendered in the very nature of our constitutional system. And so it just highlights again, just the cruelty that's involved here. I mean, the Republicans have never wanted to expand access to insurance. Democrats, that's what we have been working for since the 60s. Every expansion of access to the insurance has been led by Democrats, and we've had Republican colleagues in another time working in a bipartisan way to make those expansions, but it's generally been driven by the Democratic Party. Here, the Republicans try to vote to get rid of the premium tax credits 70 times. They are trying to cause the Obamacare program, the ACA program, to wither on the vine by removing large numbers of people from that program, leaving the sickest people in the program, causing rates to go up, not only for them, but for everyone else when people can no longer afford their insurance. And so it's a huge issue. So our hope is that pressure from the people, because the people are supreme, and many of the people who are going to be hurt. Now, he lies about stuff all the time. He says that only Democrats benefit under SNAP. In fact, that's just simply not the case. In fact, there are heavy uses of SNAP and Medicaid in the reddest states that voted for Trump, and people, I guess, still are supporting Trump in spite of the fact they're going to have to go without, because he really doesn't give a tinker's damn about his own people, if you want to call them his own people. They're American people. They're our people. When you say that people you sort of raise their hand about SNAP, I raise my hand silently here because I am concerned about the humanity of people, my neighbors, who are going to suffer. And if more of our Republican colleagues felt that way, we would be farther down the road into bringing this president to heel and to cause him to negotiate, as he should, with the Democrats, because they can't govern. They have the White House, they have the Congress, they cannot govern. That's why we're here. So if they would just sit down and negotiate with us and meet us halfway on the legitimate demands we're bringing forward to preserve and protect the life and health of the American people, we could get somewhere. Let's see how long it takes him to do that. But let's hope, if he's not going to listen to the people in the Congress, maybe he'll listen to his a red state, his MAGA supporters who are going to be suffering and who will then raise their voices. He's very in tune to that, and maybe that will cause him to come to the negotiating table so we can get through this impasse.
So
I'm
moving
sorry,
on
I
to
have
our
to go. I
next.
have another meeting, by the way. I apologize, but this particular meeting, which I'm glad to participate in, has come up when other meetings with the local hospital have been scheduled. So I've got being pulled away, and I apologize. Thanks so much. Thanks to everybody for being on this call and participating in our great democracy.
Thank you very much, Congressman, and thank you for making the time and sharing your thoughts and insights with us. Moving on to our next question for Congresswoman Watson Coleman. This says, well, actually, his name is Barney in Ewing. I apologize. He says, if SNAP benefits don't go out, why can't local food bank pantries pick up the slack?
Well, thanks, Barney, for that question. Food banks and food pantries have been supplemental food nutritional needs to families continuously. They don't have the capacity to do what SNAP does. SNAP is a very efficient way of getting resources to families so that they can shop in their stores, their supermarkets, get the kind of food that they want to eat, get fresh fruits and vegetables. Food pantries and food banks depend upon people volunteering, organizations volunteering, local supermarkets volunteering. That volunteering also is impacted by our economy. And the food banks in particular are very concerned that they can be very helpful for a couple of weeks, but beyond that, they're going to be lacking the resources that are necessary to meet the need that is going to escalate simply because Trump won't spend all of the contingency dollars. Let me tell you that the contingency dollars are $6 billion right now in USDA, but he also has access to additional money that he can move around, like money he moved around for Argentina, or money he's moving around to dismantle the East Wing of the White House, or money that he's moving around to make sure that those people that he pardons continues to help make his family richer through the ventures that they engage in. This is a cruel administration. And if we don't get SNAP benefits out to people in the near future, there is going to be suffering that we've not experienced in decades. And so Democrats' positions, we have said we'll meet anywhere, anytime, any place to have a discussion about breaking this shutdown open. But the one thing we're not going to give up on is the access to health care. That is not a privilege, that is a right. And we're not going to contribute to making our constituents sicker and their lives shorter simply because Republicans choose to give money to billionaires as opposed to put them into the resources that are necessary to feed and care for everyday citizens, working families, families elderly, families who have disabilities in their families, and most notably, the children, the poor, innocent children who have to rely on government to do its job on behalf of the people.
Thank you very much, Congresswoman. And I'd like to do a quick poll question here. Again, everyone use your telephone keypad to respond. Your information or your response is very important to us. And here's the question. Do you think that Republicans should release the SNAP emergency funds to help families? Please press 1 for yes, press 2 for no. Again, do you think that Republicans should release the SNAP emergency funds to help families? Please press 1 for yes, press 2 for no. There we go. I see a number of people keying in their response. Thank you very much. It's great to see so many people are so active and participating in this live telephone town hall. I would definitely like to call upon Congresswoman McIver as we begin to look at wrapping up the call to take the floor. Congresswoman?
Thank you so much, Dirk, and thank you all for your questions. Super grateful for you all engaging and being on this call and for dialing in and spending part of your evening with us. I want to thank my amazing colleagues that I am so blessed to serve with, the Dean of our delegation, Rep. Pallone, Rep. Norcross, Rep. My Queen Bonnie Watson-Coleman, Rep. Menendez, Rep. Poe, and Rep. Conaway for joining together to fight for the benefits New Jersey needs and deserves. Let's be clear, by choosing to cut food assist for SNAP's 42 million beneficiaries, and at a time of sky-high grocery prices, Trump and Republicans are using hunger as a political tool and this shutdown as a flimsy excuse. But we won't stand for their cruelty. Please know that we are all working to make sure that our communities don't go hungry. We are fighting for you every day. If you need immediate food assistance, constituent services, or other resources, visit our websites. For example, mine is maciver.house.gov. Once again, that's maciver, my last name, .house.gov. And whoever your representative is, you can find more help on their website as well, which would be their last name, .house.gov. Reach out. We are with you every step of the way. We are here for you. Our community is strongest when we stand together, and that is what keeps us going and keeps us fighting. So thank you all once again for joining us. Once again, thank you to my amazing colleagues for us. And please, in the know, visiting our website and signing up for our newsletter and calling our office. Thank you.
Echoing the Congresswoman's words, thank you everybody for joining today's telephone town hall with Representatives LaMonica McIver, Frank Pallone, Donald Norcross, Bonnie Watson-Coleman, Rob Menendez, Herb Conaway, and Nellie Poe. If you'd like to stay up to date on their work in Congress, you can follow them on social media. On behalf of the delegation of Congress members who are live on this event, we hope you stay healthy and safe and have a great evening. This concludes our call. Goodbye.